Politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you.
Illuminati, you've come to take control. You can take my heartbeat, but you can break my soul. We all shall be free.
Well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Illuminati, you'll never take control. Your new world order will lead to none at all. We all shall be free.
Open up your eyes, wake the fuck up, America. Elite control your lives with fear, just staring you with terror on your screen, telling you what to believe. But who benefits from panic?
In the Matrix.
But you can break my soul. We all shall be free.
Well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Illuminati, you'll never take control. Your new world order will lead to none.
I'll whip through this quickly because I've talked about this in my books at great length, and I've talked about this at Under London Talks. But I say the moon is a construct or a part construct. This is a book called Who Built the Moon by Christopher Knight and Alan Butler. It's absolutely brilliant in the way that it puts the case for the moon not being real in terms of a natural body. But interestingly, what they find in that book is the mathematics and geometry between the sun, the moon, and the earth are fantastic in terms of their synchronicity, and it does not apply in any way to the rest of the solar system. And the Gnostic writings found in Nag Hammadi in 1945, 1,600 years old or more, say that this is a separate system operating within the Archon system of the inorganic universe. They say in the book, the authors, the maths involved in the Earth, Moon, Sun system is nothing less than staggering. And that the moon has been put there with the accuracy of the proverbial Swiss watchmaker. So when viewed from the Earth, it's the size of the sun at an eclipse. The BBC did a program, Do We Really Need the Moon? And it said the moon is now in a perfect position to sustain life on Earth in its effect on the Earth, but it's just a coincidence. I think not. We only see the near side of the moon. We don't see the far side of the moon. And the authors say in that book, the moon is bigger than it should be, apparently older than it should be, much lighter in mass than it should be. It occupies an unlikely orbit and is so extraordinary that all existing explanations for its presence are fraught with difficulties, and none of them could be considered remotely watertight. The mainstream theory is that the Earth was hit by a Mars-type planet when it was forming, and a chunk came off and became the moon, called the whack theory. That didn't pan out, so they came up with a double whack theory, where it was hit by the planet, it went away and gave it another smack, and then it became the moon. Now, of course, it doesn't pan out because it's nonsense. They don't know. Why don't they just say it's not a bad thing we don't know? There's lots of things we don't know. The best explanation for the moon is observational error. The moon doesn't exist, said this scientist at the Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. It's easier to explain the non-existence of the moon than its existence, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. And you know, I'll go through this because I don't want to run over too much time. I'll just mention a few things about the moon. These two scientists from the Soviet Academy of Sciences wrote a detailed article in 1970 headed, "Is the Moon the Creation of an Alien Intelligence?" And they explained in scientific terms why the moon cannot be a natural body, and in doing so explained all the anomalies that, if it is a natural body, cannot be explained. This guy, Sergeant Wolf, talked at the National Press Club a few years ago and told of his experiences on the inside at NASA, where he saw things like alien bases on the moon and stuff like that. And there's all these towers and strange phenomenon, like this blue light called blue gem or blue dome that they can't explain on the moon. And these artifacts on the moon that clearly are not natural. Look at that one. What the bloody hell is that? They can't explain and they don't talk about them. These are pictures of what are claimed to be statues on the moon. There's so much we don't know. In symbolic terms, maybe in a bit more than that, the moon is a bit like the Death Star of this big-time insider, George Lucas, in the sense that it's actually some kind of technological construct. And it's my view, as I've said before in previous books, that what the moon is doing, in its present use anyway, is taking this Saturn broadcast and acting as an amplifier to fire it at the Earth, so we get it in massively increased power and therefore effect. It's acting a bit like a dish transmitting information which we're picking up and decoding into a fake reality. Now, 9 months after I'd written that in a book called The Human Race Get Off Your Knees, someone sent me an email from Brazil, I think it was, a lady, and said, have you read this book, Earth, by Barbara Marciniak? Because I've just read your book and I think you'd find it interesting. And she sent me some page numbers. Barbara Marciniak is what they call a channel. And lots of channels are not channels. They just think they are. But, you know, if you get a genuine one, then you can get out there and bring information out from other dimensions into this one. You can get some profound information that way. And she's done a lot of great stuff, Barbara Marciniak. I've met her a few times. Anyway, I hadn't read Earth. I'd read the first book that she wrote, but not Earth. Anyway, I sent for it. I went through the page numbers, and I'm like, whoa, this is 9 months after I've said this stuff in Human Race Get Off Your Knees. And this was a channeled book, and this is what was in the book. 1996, I think this came out. The moon is a very powerful electromagnetic computer. The energy from the moon has been beaming electromagnetic frequencies onto the Earth for eons now to maintain the two-stranded DNA. The moon is a satellite that was constructed. It was anchored outside Earth's atmosphere as a mediating and monitoring device, a supercomputer or eye in the sky. Earth must be owned by those who dwell there. However, it is not. You have outside gods, creator energies, who prevent you as a species from having free reign with your kundalini. That's the energy of awakening, in effect. The influence of the moon as a main satellite computer affects all of the Earth. The moon's programs have for eons been of great limitation towards human beings. There are repetitive cycles that the moon creates to which you respond. The tales about the full moon and insanity, madness and heightened bleeding are all quite true. You know that television influences you a great deal. The moon is the same way. And astrologically, just as a very quick aside, when that great rearrangement happened, of course, astrologically, everything changed as well in terms of the influence of the astrological energies upon the human perception, because suddenly all these bodies are in different positions to where they were before. So the Saturn-Moon matrix, as I call it, I say anyway, is generating a frequency band, a fake reality, which we are decoding to be what seems to be a real reality, and the genetic manipulation has tuned us into it and created this cycle of round and round the garden. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, as the guy said in the video. And Neil Haig has this concept of moonopoly, or Saturn moonopoly. And it goes like this. You get up in the morning and you have your breakfast and then you go to work. And then you have your lunch, sandwich normally, and then I go to work, and then I go home, and then I have my tea, and then I watch a bit of telly, and then I go to bed. Then I get up and I go to work, and then I have my lunch, sandwich normal. And I mean, look at us. We are infinite consciousness, infinite awareness. All there is, has been, and ever can be.